Welcome to Locally Sourced. I'm Jenny Hinsman. This is our second show about preserving the land locally, and today I'd like to introduce our guest, Judy Terlizzi, who is the president of the Putnam County Land Trust. Judy, would you like to talk about the Putnam County Land Trust?
Certainly, Jenny. Thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity. Putnam County Land Trust began actually way back in 1969, so this is its 48th year of preserving land in Putnam County for education, recreation, and conservation. It began as Southeast Open Spaces in 1969. In 1974, it expanded its mission to include property in Mayapack at Top Hill, so it became then Save Open Spaces, and in 1994 it changed its name to the Putnam County Land Trust, Save Open Spaces, to represent its wider mission in eastern Putnam County. It is now, as it was in the very beginning, an all-volunteer land trust, so we're very dependent on our many, many volunteers, including our board members who basically serve as the staff of the land trust. And it now holds over 150 acres as in fee properties, which I'll explain in a minute, but it also has 125 acres in conservation easements, and I'll also explain that term in a few minutes.
Great. So as a fellow board member, I'd like to thank you for your 21 years of work. You've been a great person running this organization and a great leader for us. So
thank you, Jenny.
What would you like to share about your experience with the PCLT?
Okay. Thank you so much, Jenny. It's been a very rewarding time to be in conservation. I kind of feel like I'm the bridge between the past and the future, so we will see where it all goes. I've worked with many, many wonderful people on the boards through the years, and that's been absolutely incredibly wonderful. They brought so much to the organization, so much to the point where we've created a board emeritus position where people who have given excellent board service during their tenure, when they once resign or decide to move on, that they may become board emeritus members. So now we have 12 of those who continue to support the organization in many ways. I came on board just around the time that one of the most vibrant leaders of the Land Trust was ending his time, Michael Chiola. So I had the opportunity to not only go back in the past and see where the Land Trust was coming from, but also then work with the boards in the early 2000s. In about 2008, we created a strategic plan, which was adopted in 2010, which helped move the organization to where it is today. And now we're looking at another strategic plan to move the organization beyond that. So it's always planning. It seems planning is becoming the really most important part of all of this kind of work.
Yes, strategic plans are quite important for figuring out the future. Can you share with me what the difference between a fee and a conservation easement is, just so people can understand?
Yeah. Sure, that's a great question, Jenny. Thank you. Fee properties are properties that somebody owns. So you have a property where you have a house that you own that property in fee. A conservation easement is a legal document where a person will give up certain rights to his property or her property. So many people love their land, and they know that their time here is very finite, but they want their land to continue to be as it is, at the present time. So they will work with a land trust to come up with a conservation easement. Each conservation easement is very specific to that property. The easement, most important parts of the easement are that certain parts are, there's there can be no future development on them because they have very specific and important conservation values. Some easements do allow what they call a building envelope, and in an easement, as opposed to fee property, the landowner continues to own his land, but the land trust takes on the responsibility of holding the easement, as they call it, holding an easement, and then making sure that the terms of the easement are always respected and followed through on.
Yes, I know that it's quite complicated, but it's good for people to understand that if they have property that they want to preserve, that they could go
And they
talk to you, and we could figure out if it fits the criteria, right?
Yes, and specifically, yes, if they want to preserve it and still hold on to it and still always maintain that ownership, yes. It's a possibility.
So I would love to talk to you about the Great Swamp Project that we are working in collaboration with Oblong about, and if you could talk about the significance of the Great Swamp and why it's critical to our environment.
Yes. Where to begin? The Great Swamp is it's the third largest wetland in New York State. It covers a span of 40 acres north to south. It's critically important for both the people who live in that area and for wildlife. One of the interesting facts of the Great Swamp is it has two flows. And the south flow is the Croton River, which flows through Putnam County down into the New York City reservoir system. So it also provides water for the 9 million residents of New York City, as well as several of the towns in Westchester. The north flow it starts in Pawling and flows north into the 10 Mile River and out into the Housatonic. And the critical thing about the Great Swamp is not only its wildlife value but its water source the water source for the people who live in the Great Swamp watershed, which is both the wetlands and the uplands where the water flows into the wetlands, is the sole source aquifer for the 40,000 residents who live in that area. And for wildlife, it's a migratory corridor. It's a place where they can raise their young. It's a source of food for them. So it serves many, many important values that really impact everyone's lives that live in it.
Including myself and my family, since I'm bordering the ice pond. So in collaboration, both the PCLT and Oblong and Frogs have gotten the Catalyst grant, and I'm hoping that you can explain how that process was and what it's for.
What's becoming very common now, and we can... In the very beginning, land trusts formed when people saw a need for protection of a particular parcel in their town or in their area, and they would get together and form a land trust to protect that parcel. They would raise money, they would do all the things they needed to do to make sure that parcel would stay protected. Land trust work is moving beyond that now to collaboration on a more landscape level. And so this collaboration grant, we call it the Catalyst grant that we received with Oblong Land Conservancy, was really important because it showed how two land trusts could work together to achieve more landscape level, the Great Swamp being, and its uplands being the landscape level. And it's just as it's like a marriage and a family. You're bringing two different families together. So here we're bringing two organizations that have a very different, not necessarily very different, or missions the same to preserve open space, but we have cultures, we have ways of working, and those are the things you kind of need to work through when you talk about working with another organization. And because Oblong is such a land conservancy, it's such a great organization, a great board, and Putnam County also, they were able to find a way to work together to apply for this grant, which came through the New York State Conservation Partnership Program, which is a unique program in the whole country. It's between the New York State DEC and the Land Trust Alliance, and it provides funding for different possibly transaction grants or capacity building grants, and this was for a catalyst grant to allow the two organizations to explore the opportunity to work together and figure out what they wanted to do and then make it happen. So we got the news that we were getting the grant, we got to work getting together, we had board retreats, and we came up with signage. We came up with two committees that we were working on. One was education and one was signage. And this is the sign that was created to allow, we felt, which, where am I?
You're good.
Okay. To allow people to know that where the Great Swamp was. So these signs will be appearing on roads in the hopefully not too distant future, so people will know they're entering the Great Swamp, because we felt that was one of the things that really was lacking, was an awareness of where were the boundaries of the Great Swamp, and that if we could allow people to find out, that it might help them become more aware of what they can do to help protect it. Our second group is an education group, and we've been working on how do we get the word out about what people can do to protect the Great Swamp. And I don't have any materials to show, but we will be having launches this year. We expect to have a table at the Green Chimneys Birds of Prey Day, at the 4-H Fair, and other events, so that people will understand what they can do to help protect this important and really irreplaceable resource. Swamps, wetlands filter our water. As I said, it's the sole source aquifer for the people who live in the Harlem Valley, and it's incredibly important to wildlife. Yes.
So the collaboration between Oblong and PCLT resulted in the award last October from the National Land Trust, the National Land Trust Excellence Award, which was awarded to both organizations in Minneapolis in October. Can you, congratulations,
Thank you.
Can you explain how that came to be?
Wow. Yes, Jenny, thank you. It was a great honor for both Putnam County Land Trust and Oblong. It was the first time a volunteer land trust, or two volunteer land trusts in New York State, have been recognized, and to receive this. And it's only one of 3 awards they give each year at what they call their rally, which is their conference. And it was such an exciting time. We got a phone call, and they said, "Oh, you've been nominated." And so Chris and I worked together on. They came and they did a video. They spent 2 days filming a video about the grant and the work that we were doing together, and then we got to edit it, and it was shown at Rally. It's now available on our website and Facebook page, but we didn't, it was someone put our name in, and the board that vets the names decided that we would be the land trust that would receive that award.
That's great, and we'd love to share the video right now, so that others can see the video.
The Great Swamp is one of the 3 largest wetlands in New York State.
We think it's a beautiful place. It's an important place environmentally and ecologically.
The flora and fauna are beautiful. The air is pure.
The silence, the bird life, and you would never believe you're 40 or 50 miles from Manhattan.
It's just a wonderful place to live.
Both these organisations, both Putnam and Oblong, had for an extended number of years, if you like, doing their own thing in their own part of the watershed.
It's challenging to try to protect the Great Swamp because the swamp itself runs 40 miles from north to south, is over 60,000 acres.
On the larger scale, the Great Swamp provides around 10% of the water to New York City.
It also supplies water for many of the towns and the residents who live here.
So it's really important that a comprehensive strategy is evolved to deal with upland, lowland and wetland areas.
Our challenge has been to educate people about its importance.
And the word swamp has all kinds of meanings to different people.
There was a conversation with Ethan Winter of the Land Trust Alliance, and he said, well, you guys really need to get together and do something constructive. Instead of talking about it, do something. And the idea about the collaboration was really to become a more unified group and a more effective group. Because the fact of the matter is that Mother Nature does not pay much attention to lines on maps and municipal boundaries. So we got together in fairly short order this application for a catalyst grant, and lo and behold, the ACE saw fit to grant it to us.
Funding to build capacity, to help them do strategic planning and to complete conservation projects in their area.
We were then faced with the problem of actually figuring out, now what are we going to do? Having talked about it, now we actually have to go do it.
And from that, we set up 2 subcommittees. One is for signage and one is for Swamp Smart.
An educational program designed to increase people's awareness.
There's a number of things that just the ordinary citizen can do to make a big difference.
Understanding why educating their children about this wonderful natural resource and biotic corridor is extremely important.
We are all stewards of the Great Swamp, and that has been the basis of our work going forward.
Oblong and Putnam County Land Trust are thinking about how to take their work to the next level.
It's really been a lot of fun. It's great to sit around a table with other land trust people and discover that you all have the same interests and the same love.
And I just want to transfer that love of nature to as many people as I can reach.
The more education they get will not only improve their life, but it'll improve the life of all the generations to come.
So this video is also available on the PCLT website, which is www.pclt.net. And there's lots of information about everything that the Putnam County Land Trust does as well on that same website. So Judy, I'm hoping that you can talk about our website and upcoming events that we have. I know we have a very important event coming up on March 25th, which is our annual benefit dinner.
Thank you, Jenny. It is a very important event. We do receive funding from grants, but our most important fundraiser is our annual dinner, which is going to be this year on March 25th at the Centennial Golf Club. And I'll talk more about that in a minute, but people can support us in many ways. Contact us, take a walk on one of our preserves, get to see what they're really all about. We have almost 12 miles of trails that have been constructed, planned by our land trust stewards, all volunteers, and then many of these trails have been constructed as part of Eagle Scout projects from Boy Scouts under our supervision. So this year we've started adding benches on some of our properties. So if you just want to take a walk and sit in the woods and read a book, you can do that as well. We have a handicap trail at our headquarters in Southeast on Cobb Road in Brewster. We have, and that was okay. So this, okay. We have Park who takes care of we have Park who takes care of our handicap trail, which is at our headquarters. We were donated the property by Dorothy O'Brien, who is a great friend of the Land Trust, And we have a trail behind it that was created by 2 high school students from Carmel High School back in 2008. And now we have citizens from Park who help maintain that trail. It's a beautiful trail through the woods, and it's a very flat trail. It meets ADA requirements. That these 2 young women really put it all together themselves and did it, and garnered, may I say, I'm so proud of them, over $33,000 in funding to create this trail. They raised $15,000 in cash and $18,000 in pro bono services. So it's a huge, we see people walking it all the time. They take their dogs through there, they take their baby carriages through there, and they get a chance to go in the woods and listen and watch the wildlife, particularly the bird life in this area. So please visit it if you'd like to. You can volunteer and help us steward our properties, help us run our fundraisers. We'd love it. You can become a member, you can donate, and take part in our events, and like us on Facebook. That's another way of getting the word out. Our dinner, as I said, is on March 25th this year. Yes. We're so pleased to be honoring Dr. John Wilson of the Brewster Veterinary Hospital. He has been a great friend to wildlife. The Heron Award is created to honor individuals who have demonstrated an unfailing commitment to either wildlife or education or some part of the environmental picture in Putnam County. And he has for 30 years provided services to Green Chimney School, where any injured wildlife is taken to him and he heals it free of charge. He's also been an enthusiastic supporter of the Putnam County Land Trust. We have special auction items. Jenny, you're helping with that.
Of course I
am. And we have an auctioneer, Ivan and Laura Cohen from the Cohen Putnam Agency, who will auction the items off, and Ivan's a treat to watch. So if you'd like to know more about that, please visit our Facebook page or our website, and you'll be able to find out how you can attend. So.
Great. It's going to be a wonderful event. Judy, could you go back to some of our parcels? I know that Putnam County Land Trust has over 1,000 acres in Putnam County, and maybe you could offer some details of those parcels as well.
Yes, thank you.
We have Doansburg.
The Doansburg Preserve. I'm going to talk a little bit about how we get our land, because I think that's an important piece for people to understand. As I mentioned before, many land trusts begin when someone sees a need to protect something important. And the land trust began in 1969. It was founded by Paul Fitchin and several of his friends who could see that the construction of 684, which he could see from his house on Store Ridge Road, was going to change the was going to change the landscape and increase development pressure here in Putnam County. So they got together, and Paul liked to go out and bird watch, and he was apparently an excellent birder. He could tell birds from their calls. He could identify a bird by knowing its particular call. And he thought, with all this development pressure, if he didn't do something to start to protect properties, this wouldn't be available to people anymore.
Okay.
So,
well, actually, we are running out of time at this moment.
Oh no!
So I do appreciate all of the. I appreciate everything you've shared with us. I really wanted to thank you, Judy, for attending today and for being the president for so long. And I also wanted to remind everybody to go to the PCLT website to get tickets for our March 25th dinner. But especially I'd like to thank everybody who has participated in volunteering for this event, for today's shooting, and Channel 8 Public Access. And I totally want to thank everybody for watching this show today. So have a great day.